Black Sports Northwest here. I just want to welcome all the subscribers, new subscribers, old subscribers, anybody interested, hit the subscribe button for more content. This is not a new page. This page is taking many different faces and many different names, but I think I've settled on what I want to do with this page. For those of us that love boxing, love college football, NFL, basketball, I speak about all these topics accordingly, and I'm broadcasting live from Portland, Oregon, by way of Los Angeles, California. And something I want to talk to today that I was really thinking about was Sports Illustrated put out their top 25 preseason college football top 25 list. And what I want to talk about is some of the things that they come up with, it just doesn't make any sense. So I'm looking at this list that they put together, and I'm thinking about players, and I'm thinking about last season, and one of the first things that I notice is Clemson ranked number 1. I'm not mad that Clemson's ranked number 1. It's not a big deal to me, but they're not better than Alabama. Do they have a very good front four? They do. Wilkins, Farrell, Lawrence. I mean, they got some hogs up front, but they had those same hogs last year, and Alabama beat them. And I believe Alabama's going to be even better this year with Tua at quarterback, Damian Harris at running back. The defense is going to be pretty good. I believe that Raekwon is injured. One of the linebackers are injured. I do not see how they can flip-flop these. You know, if you wanted to put Georgia at number 1, I would be okay with that, because Georgia, 1, they're returning their quarterback. 2, while they're not returning all of their defense or their best defensive player, and while they're not returning Sony Michel and Nick Chubb, if you look at that recruiting class that they got coming in, Georgia's going to be around for a while. So I don't think that Clemson. I think Clemson's going to struggle this year offensively. I don't think that Clemson's going to have any issues on defense, but offensively, I think they're going to struggle, and I think they're going to lose a game. Could be to Florida State, could be in the ACC championship game. I'm not sure, but I don't think Clemson is on Alabama's level as a well-rounded team. They're going in between quarterbacks. I believe Alabama settled on their quarterback, even though Jalen Hurts has been doing interviews and doing a lot of complaining and talking about, you know, he hasn't talked to the coaching staff or whatever it is he was talking about, and complaining about what's been going on in training camp. I think that their quarterback situation is a little bit more well-rounded than what Clemson's got with Kelly Bryant and this new kid, Trevor Lawrence, who's supposed to be a stud. I mean, he's a freshman. He's supposed to be the real deal. So they have Clemson number 1. They have Alabama number 2. They have Wisconsin number 3, which I'm not mad at. They're bringing back Hornibrook. They're bringing back Jonathan Taylor, who ran for over 1,900 yards last year. Defense is solid. I don't have a problem with that. Wisconsin only lost 1 game last year, and that was in the Big Ten championship game. You know, and while they did lose by a lot, it wasn't a close game very much. I mean, the score was kind of close, I guess. They have the Washington Huskies at number 4. That has me confused, because Jake Browning has regressed compared to what he was 2016. He has regressed. He is not that good of a quarterback. I don't even know if he'll be drafted before the 3rd round in the 2019 NFL draft. I don't see it. I don't understand it. They're bringing back Myles Gaskins. Their defense is the strength of their team. But with a quarterback as inept and as incompetent as Jake Browning, I don't trust that dude. I just don't trust that, and I don't trust that ranking at being at number 4. If you rank a team number 4, that means you're pretty much saying you believe that they're going to win at least 11 to 12 games. I don't see that happening. I believe UW is going to lose to Oregon this year. They're going to bring back a healthy Justin Herbert. They have a damn good coaching staff. They're recruiting their ass off. I don't think UW is going to beat Oregon. The game is in Eugene this year. Number 5, they have Oklahoma, and even Oklahoma to me is ranked a little too high, because no Baker Mayfield. Kyler Murray has decided to, after this season, he's going to go and play baseball. So they don't even have a quarterback. The guy that they're going to play is Austin Kendall. He's a 3-star, maybe 4-star guy from Charlotte, North Carolina, or somewhere in North Carolina. I don't even know how many snaps he's had, or if he's had any. So to have them ranked at number 5, that means basically what you're saying is that they're going to be able to beat 95% of the schedule. Last year, Oklahoma lost to Iowa State. You know, if they're losing to Iowa State with Baker Mayfield this year, you could probably see them losing to a couple of teams. I mean, Texas being one of them. Georgia comes in at number 6. And that's where I would recommend you would put OU at 6. I believe Georgia, because of the talent and the way that they're recruiting right now, I believe that they're more prepped for the future than Oklahoma. Oklahoma has too many issues. Georgia, no, they don't have Nick Chubb. They don't have Sony Michel, but they got a lot of good kids coming in. I mean, they're they're going to be pretty good for the next 6-7 years. They're going to be pretty damn good. Penn State, number 7. Trace is coming back. No Saquon Barkley, so it's a who's who at running back for Penn State. Penn State is Penn State. They're gonna run the ball. They're gonna play solid defense. Can they beat Ohio State is the question. That's the question every year. Last year they were supposed to beat Ohio State. They didn't. They had a good lead on Ohio State and they fell asleep. Ohio State comes back, wins that game. Penn State is on the outside looking in. That Penn State team beat UW in the Fiesta Bowl. So we're looking at 2 teams in Penn State and UW who really are trying to find a new identity to be a well-rounded team. You got Auburn coming in at number 8. Auburn is without Kerryon Johnson. They still have Jarrett Stidham. They're bringing back a solid defense. I mean, it's a typical Auburn SEC Auburn team. They beat Alabama last year. They lose to Georgia. Then they go ahead and they lose to Central Florida. Can Auburn be that team this year? Yeah, maybe, you know, they'll surprise some teams. I don't think they'll surprise Alabama. The game is in Tuscaloosa this year. I don't believe that they're going to surprise anybody. I believe that Jarrett Stidham, while he is a good quarterback, he's still got a little ways to go, and it's going to be musical chairs at the running back position. Ohio State, Urban Meyer, enough said. I don't know what's going on with that whole situation, but whatever's going on with that situation, they need to figure it out before the season starts. If they're going to suspend him, if they're going to, I don't believe they're going to fire him. I believe that they're just going to suspend him for maybe 3 or 4 games. I don't think he's going to get fired. It's too close to the season to fire him. And that would send Ohio State as a program into a tailspin. For those of you that remember the John Cooper era, that's where you would be going back to. And I don't think Ohio State fans nor the Ohio State brass want to deal with that. As far as the team, no J.T. Barrett. They're bringing back a lot of their players. Nick Bosa. They're bringing back some studs. No quarterback. They're bringing back a new quarterback, Darryl Haskins. I believe his name's Darryl Haskins. Played a little bit last year. Number 10, to round out the top 10, is West Virginia. West Virginia was 7-6 last year. They're not very good. To show you how upside down Sports Illustrated is with their top 25. West Virginia is 7-6 last year, 2017. Virginia Tech ended the season 9-4. They don't have Virginia Tech ranked, but they have West Virginia ranked, and they talk about Will Grier. We're still hanging on to what Will Grier did his first year at Florida before he pissed hot with PEDs, and he had to sit out a year. Then he is able to play at West Virginia. He gets injured. Then he comes back again. He's playing. Like, the Will Grier train has came and left. Okay? West Virginia is not a top 10 team. If West Virginia is top 10, basically what you're saying is that they're probably going to end up winning 10 or 11 games. I don't see that happening at all. Teams that you don't see in the top 10 that spent a lot of time in the top 10 last year is Miami. You don't see Miami in the top 10. Now, Miami is losing both of their interior defensive linemen in R.J. McIntosh and Kendrick Norton. They're returning pretty much the entire offense. The offensive line is real shoddy, but they're returning probably the best set of skill players as a whole in the country. Amon Richards, Jeff Thomas, Harley. They got some pretty good kids coming in. Now, the quarterback position is still a question mark. The quarterback is Jekyll and Hyde. One week he can play very well. The next week he's throwing balls into the dirt. So you really never know. And they come in, they're ranked at number 13, but to come in number 13, and they did lose their last 3 games. They lost to Pitt They lost to Wisconsin. They lost to Clemson. The only game on their schedule that didn't make sense that they lost was Pitt. I expected them to lose to Wisconsin. I expected them to lose to Clemson. Clemson is just that much better than pretty much 95% of the college football teams in the country. So for Miami to lose to that team, hey, things happen. I believe that they could be the surprise team of this season. They don't have to play Notre Dame like they did last year. They play Florida State at home. They open with LSU. So if they can open with LSU and beat them, I believe it's in Arlington, Texas, I believe that this Miami team could run the table, barring slipping to a team they shouldn't lose to. They're a lot like University of Washington. They should win 12 games, 10, 11, 12 games, but they'll lose to someone they have no business losing to. With UW, last year they're losing to Arizona. Miami last year is losing to Pitt. It just doesn't make sense. Consistency is what they're lacking. Florida State isn't ranked in the top 10. They don't have a quarterback controversy, but DeAndre Francois is coming back. Last year they had to play with Blackman. He was out the entire season. Francois was with a torn ACL in the first game of the season against Alabama. They're bringing back Cam Akers, who's a stud running back. The defense is hit or miss. We don't really know too much about that Florida State defense. They don't have Derwin James anymore. Levante Murray is their DB that they're yapping about at this point. Florida's not in the top 25. They got a lot of issues going on. They got players getting arrested, coming out with frying pans and pellet guns and all kinds of weird things going on that campus. So that's another thing to look out for. Tennessee is another team to look out for. We'll see what they're made of. It's about time for Tennessee to, one, not only beat Florida on a regular basis, but start winning some games they're supposed to win. You can't just beat Vanderbilt or scrape by Vanderbilt and think that that's decent. You gotta compete with Alabama. You have to beat Florida every now and then. You have to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. Tennessee should beat Florida. They have some talent. Now the quarterback position that they have, who knows? Even with the coaching staff. So they got some ways to go, but the college football landscape needs Tennessee. We need Tennessee. We need Notre Dame. We need USC. We need Miami, Florida State, Florida. We need these teams to be good because, college football is just that much better when those teams are good. Not saying there's anything wrong with Oregon winning or Wisconsin or Oklahoma and teams like that, but I think it's more interesting when the true blue bloods of college football, and I put Florida State, Miami, and Florida as blue bloods because they dominated the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, early 2000s. They dominated the last 35 years of college football, and that's a topic for another discussion because a lot of people will argue and say, well, they're not like Michigan. Well, Michigan's won one national championship since 1948. So maybe they've been playing for a long time, but have they done anything important? That's a different discussion for another day. So with the top 20, rounding up the top 10, starting over, you have Clemson number 1, you got Alabama number 2, Wisconsin number 3, the Washington Huskies number 4, Oklahoma number 5, Georgia number 6, Penn State 7, you got Auburn number 8, the Ohio State University number 9, and West Virginia at number 10. That's your top 10 according to Sports Illustrated. We'll see how it turns out. I believe ESPN's top 25 has not come out yet. I do not believe that theirs will be as reliable either. But I believe that ESPN's top 25 will be a lot more logical than having West Virginia in the top 10 and UW in the top 4. It just doesn't make any sense. West Virginia is not that good. So we'll see how it turns out. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. This is my first video. I'll be making a lot more videos. I'll have some videos talking about boxing here coming up soon. We got the Canelo Gennady Golovkin fight coming up in September. It's going to be a great September for boxing. And talk to you guys a little bit later. Peace.